Our Mass today is for the 14th Sunday of Ordinary Time. It's being offered for the following intentions and a collective intention: for Christy Selly, Ciancio, Luigi and Maria Scutoli, Salvatore Scutoli, Paul Fusco, John Mossi, Clara Mira, Domenico Roberto, Jean Roma, Sam Scarpiccia, Joe Zwide, Stanley Padicula, Mary Carcina, Renee LaPierre, Jean Kirkman, Paul Allen, Ann Bertoni, Giuseppina Tricenzi, Grace Marie Harvey, Mondo Ligori, Christine Pisani-Treat, Grace Loretto Matthias, Rachel Picarelli, Vincenzo Rossi, Clem Savage, Carrie Ann Savage, and Bernard Serena. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the communion of the Holy Spirit be with you all. Brothers and sisters, let us acknowledge our sins and so prepare to celebrate the sacred mysteries.
Lord Jesus, you teach us to be humble. Lord, have mercy.
Lord, have mercy.
Lord Jesus, you refresh our souls. Christ, have mercy.
Christ, have mercy.
Lord Jesus, you reveal the Father to us. Lord, have mercy.
Lord, have mercy. May Almighty God have mercy on us, forgive us our sins, and bring us to everlasting life. Amen. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace to people of good will. We praise you, we bless you, we adore you, we glorify you. We give you thanks for your great glory. Lord God, heavenly King, O God, Almighty Father, Lord Jesus Christ, only begotten Son, Lord God, Lamb of God, Son of the Father, you take away the sins of the world, have mercy on us. You take away the sins of the world, receive our prayer. You are seated at the right hand of God, have mercy on us. For you alone are the Holy One, you alone are the Lord, you alone are the Most High, Jesus Christ, with the Holy Spirit, and the glory of God the Father. Amen. Let us pray. O God, whom the abasement of your Son have raised up a fallen world, fill your faithful with holy joy. For on those who have rescued from slavery to sin, you bestow eternal gladness. Through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
A reading from the book of the prophet Zechariah. Thus says the Lord, rejoice heartily, O daughter Zion. Shout with joy, O daughter Jerusalem. See, your king shall come to you, a just Savior is he, meek and riding on an ass, on a colt, the foal of an ass. He shall banish the chariot from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem. The warrior's battle shall be banished, and he shall proclaim peace to the nations. His dominion shall be from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
A responsorial song. I will praise your name forever, my King and my God.
I will praise your name forever, my King and my God.
I will extol you, O my God and King, and I will bless your name forever and ever. Every day will I bless you, and I will bless your name forever and ever. I will praise your name forever, my King and my God. The Lord is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness. The Lord is good to all, and compassionate towards all his works. I will praise your name forever, my King and my God. Let all your works give you thanks, O Lord, and let your faithful ones bless you. Let them discourse of the glory of your kingdom and speak of your might. I will praise your name forever, my King and my God. The Lord is faithful in all his words and holy in all his works. The Lord lifts up all who are falling and raises lettura dalla lettera di San Paolo Apostolo ai Romani. Fratelli, voi non siete sotto il dominio della carne, ma dello Spirito, dal momento che lo Spirito di Dio abita in voi. Se qualcuno non ha lo Spirito di Cristo, non gli appartiene. E se lo Spirito di Dio, che ha risuscitato Gesù dai morti, abita in voi, colui che ha risuscitato Cristo dai morti darà la vita anche ai vostri corpi mortali, per mezzo del suo Spirito che abita in voi. Così dunque, fratelli, noi siamo debitori, non verso la carne, per vivere secondo i desideri carnali, perché se vivete secondo la carne, morirete. Se invece, mediante lo Spirito, fate morire le opere del corpo, vivrete. Parola di Dio. Rendiamo grazie a Dio.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
At that time Jesus exclaimed, I will give praise to you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. For although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to the little ones. Yes, Father, such has been your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy and my burden light. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The last passage of the Gospel is one of the lovelier ones I find in all of Scripture. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart. And your souls will find rest, for my yoke is easy and my burden light. Probably a lot of us feel like that'd be a great offer right about now. Even if we haven't had the same pace at work, this has been an exhausting couple of months. It'd be nice to let down that burden and have someone else take it up for a change. It's certainly a valid interpretation of what Jesus is saying. After all, he's encouraging us. Set down the heavy load you're carrying and learn from me instead. For my yoke is easy and my burden light. Lighter, it's implied, than what you're carrying around unnecessarily. So again, perfectly valid reading of what the Gospel's saying. But there's another aspect as well that also deserves some of our attention. You'll notice Jesus' reasoning for this is he says, for I am meek and humble of heart. It's interesting. Then if you go back to the first reading and the prayer before Mass, it talks about the humility of Christ, the abasement of the Son of God, his willingness to humble himself. We should pay attention to that because it's a very interesting point. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart. Maybe this seems to suggest one of the problems we have, one of the burdens we're carrying, is our own pride. Doesn't seem that way, right? Our pride makes us feel puffed up. It makes us feel elevated. We start strutting around like we own the place when we're proud. But it can be a very great weight. It can be a weight because it gets in the way of our relationship with others, our pride. It can be a huge weight because when we let people down, it's awful tough to realize we weren't all that we were cracked up to be. What a heavy cross to bear when we have a loss of face or lead to other people being disappointed in us. Pride can be awfully heavy. Perhaps that's a burden we need to be relieved of. The pride of thinking we're better than we are. The pride of thinking that everything is down to what we do, that our salvation is ours to achieve. Perhaps instead it's time for us to learn from someone who is meek and humble of heart, who comes not to do his own will, but the will of the one who sent him. Perhaps it's time for us to learn from Christ. There's a moment in the novel Les Miserables. The things about that bit, it's a huge novel. But very early on we meet this character, an elderly bishop, the Bishop of Digne in France. He's a very charming character. So he's a humble man, very simple, and the house's servant is someone who's always very careful about the bishop's dignity. She's careful to be sure that people treat him appropriately and show him the respect due to a prince of the church. And she addresses him by the appropriate title in France, Your Highness. That's what they would have called a bishop back then. So at one point the bishop is puttering about the house and he wants to get a book off the shelf and he's not tall enough to reach. So he says to the servant, Madame Magloire, could you fetch me a chair? My Highness is not high enough to reach the shelf. The man was humble. He recognized that whatever you may call him, whatever title he might go by, whatever role and status he has, it's not going to get the book off the shelf. And he could laugh gently about it. I'd like to suggest that that's a model for us as well. Our highness, our opinion of ourselves, our sense of our accomplishments, our dignity, and the respect we're owed, perhaps these are burdens we can lay down for a little while and learn instead from the Good Shepherd, who is meek and humble of heart. God bless. Let us together confess our faith. I believe in one God, Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. I believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, born of the Father before all ages, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made, consubstantial of the Father. Through him all things are made. For us and for our salvation, he came down from heaven, and by the Holy Spirit was incarnate of the Virgin Mary and became man. For our sake he was crucified on Pontius Pilate. He suffered death and was buried, and rose again on the third day, in accordance with the Scriptures. He ascended into heaven, and is seated at the right hand of the Father. He will come again in glory to judge the living and the dead, and his kingdom will have no end. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Lord, the giver of life, who proceeds from the Father and the Son, with the Father and the Son is the Word glorified, who has spoken to the prophets. I believe in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. I confess one baptism for the forgiveness of sins, and I look forward to the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. Amen. With humble hearts, we come before God to speak for our needs and those of the whole world.
For the church, that God would help us take up the yoke of Christ, lovingly offering forgiveness to those who wrong us. We pray to the Lord. For legislatures and municipal council members, that God will give them wisdom in addressing current challenge courage to do what is right, and openness to new approaches for people they serve. We pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
That our St. Anthony, St. Joseph members find in their faith the strength to meet every difficulty. We pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For our nation, that God will guide us in living the values which we proclaim, so that all may experience life, liberty, and justice. We pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For all victims of abuse, that they may hear God's affirmation that they are beloved and experience healing for their bodies, minds, and spirits. We pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For all who have died, especially, may our Lord Jesus welcome them to eternal life. We pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
Loving Father, your dominion is over all the earth. By the power of your Spirit, answer the prayers we make in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Blessed be you, Lord God of all creation. With your goodness we receive the bread we offer. Fruit of the earth and work of human hands, and become for us the bread of life.
Blessed be God forever.
In this moment of mine, show me the dear Christ of all those of the church.
Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation. For your goodness we have received the wine we offer you. Fruit of the vine and work of human hands, and become our spiritual drink.
Blessed be God forever.
Pray, brothers and sisters, that my sacrifice and yours may be acceptable to God the Almighty Father.
Lord, accept the sacrifice of Jesus, for the praise and glory of his name, for our good and the good of all his holy church.
May this oblation dedicated to your name purify us, O Lord, and day by day bring our conduct closer to the life of heaven, through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
Lift up your hearts.
We lift them unto the Lord.
Let us give thanks to the Lord our God.
It is right and just.
E veramente cosa buona e giusta, nostro dovere e fonte di salvezza, rendere grazie sempre in ogni luogo, a te Padre Santo, per Gesù Cristo tuo dilettissimo Figlio. Egli è la tua parola vivente, per mezzo di lui hai creato tutte le cose, e lo hai mandato a noi Salvatore e Redentore, fatto uomo per opera dello Spirito Santo, e nato dalla Vergine Maria, per compiere la tua volontà e acquistarti un popolo santo. Egli stese le braccia sulla croce, morendo distrusse la morte, e proclamò la risurrezione. Per questo mistero di salvezza, uniti agli angeli e ai santi, cantiamo a una sola voce la tua gloria. Holy, 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 Lord God of hosts, heaven and earth are full of your glory. Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. Padre veramente santo, fonte di ogni santità, santifica questi doni con l'effusione del tuo Spirito, che sei divino per noi il corpo e il sangue di Gesù Cristo nostro Signore. E offrendosi liberamente alla sua passione, prese il pane e rese grazie, lo spezzò, lo diede ai suoi discepoli e disse: prendete e mangiatene tutti, questo è il mio corpo offerto in sacrificio per voi. Dopo la cena, allo stesso modo, prese il calice e rese grazie, lo diede ai suoi discepoli e disse: prendete e bevete tutti, questo è il calice del mio sangue, per la nuova ed eterna alleanza, versato per voi e per tutti in remissione dei peccati. Fate questo in memoria di me. The mystery of faith. Save us, Savior of the world, for thy cross and resurrection you have set us free. Celebrando il memoriale della morte e risurrezione del tuo Figlio, ti offriamo, Padre, il pane della vita e il calice della salvezza, e ti rendiamo grazie per averci ammessi alla tua presenza, a compiere il servizio sacerdotale. Ti preghiamo umanamente per la comunione al corpo e al sangue di Cristo. Lo Spirito Santo ci riunisca in un solo corpo. Ricordate, Madre, della tua Chiesa diffusa su tutta la terra, e qui congregata nel giorno in cui il Cristo ha vinto la morte e ci ha resi partecipi della sua vita immortale. Rendila perfetta nell'amore in comunione con il nostro Papa Francesco, il nostro Vescovo Douglas, e tutto l'ordine sacerdotale e il popolo che tu hai redento. Ricordati dei nostri fratelli che ci sono addormentati nella speranza della risurrezione e di tutti i defunti che ti affidano alla tua clemenza. Ammettili a godere la luce del tuo volto. Di noi tutti abbi misericordia, donaci di aver parte alla vita eterna, insieme con la Beata Maria, Vergine e Madre di Dio, per Giuseppe suo sposo, con gli apostoli e tutti i santi, Sant'Antonio di Padova, San Casimiro, in ogni tempo chi furono grandi, e Gesù Cristo tuo Figlio, canteremo la tua gloria. Per Cristo, con Cristo e in Cristo, a te Dio Padre Onnipotente, nell'unità dello Spirito Santo, ogni onore e gloria per tutti i secoli dei secoli. Amen. Savior's command informed by divine teaching, we dare to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Deliver us, Lord, we pray, from every evil. Graciously grant peace in our days, that by the help of your mercy we may be always free from sin and safe from all distress, as we await the blessed hope of the coming of our Savior, Jesus Christ. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Lord Jesus Christ, who said to your apostles, Peace I leave you, my peace I give you. Look not on our sins, but on the faith of your church, and graciously grant your peace and unity in accordance with your will, who live and reign forever and ever. Amen. The peace of the Lord be with you always. We call to mind that we have peace with God and each other through the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. Lamb of God,
You take away the sins of the world, have mercy on us. Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world, have mercy on us. Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world, grant us peace.
behold the who takes away the sins of the world. Blessed are those called to the supper of the Lamb.
Lord, I am not worthy that you should enter my heart, but only say the word, and my soul shall be healed.
Just a reminder, our communion will begin with the side sections here, and then I will move out to the atrium, and the meeting will be on this side of the church. As you come up for communion, keep your mask on, and then when you get to those distributing communion, you can receive the host, step to the side, pull down your mask, receive the host, put your mask back on, and return to your place. If you wish to receive communion on the tongue, if that's your practice, we would ask that you wait until the end of the line as we purify our hands after everyone who receives in that manner. Thank you. Just a few brief announcements for you. Next week we'll be having our first communions in both churches, so we would ask that you continue to register for each Mass before attending. We are expecting that we'll have a few more guests than normal because it is first communions, so space may be a little bit more limited next weekend, even though we're going to be adding back other Masses. As you may have heard from the website or from the YouTube announcement, we are going to be resuming our previous Mass schedule for the weekends, 4 and 5:30. First at St. Joe's and then here at St. Anthony's, and then 8:30 here at St. Anthony's, and 11 a.m. on Sunday at St. Joe's. Also, Monday through Thursday, we'll be having a daily Mass at 8:30, and we'll be doing confessions before Mass at 8 o'clock, just like we used to. And they'll be at the same churches that they used to be. Again, we would ask that you pre-register for those so we know how many to expect as well, and keep you wearing masks. I know it's a pain in the neck, but we've really been doing great, and the numbers are still down in your state, so that's all good news. Finally, I want to wish you all a happy 4th of July. After we have a family cookout, it goes well, you have a chance to watch fireworks and enjoy the holiday, and perhaps take the chance to let the burden down a little bit and enjoy some well-needed rest and relaxation. Let us pray. Grant, we pray, O Lord, that having been replenished by such great gifts, we may gain the prize of salvation and never cease to praise you through Christ our Lord. Amen. The Lord be with you.
And your spirit.
Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Go and announce the good news of Jesus Christ.
Thanks be to God.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Father.